Yesterday we discussed the birth of the wacky and wild WHA. Then the rubber hits the road, and things are difficult right out of the gate. But the hockey seems to be pretty entertaining, and it is a chance for players who maybe were getting buried in the NHL to come over, make some money, put up some points and goals. Keep in mind that these numbers are not recognized by the National Hockey League to this day. Uh, there are players who played very well in the WHA who don't get any kudos from anyone related to the NHL and never really did. I know as a hockey card collector as a kid that, I used to, when I started out, they still showed all the WHA stats. And they showed like WHA totals and NHL totals. And eventually, the WHA numbers just disappeared. It's no longer relevant. And so that's the sad truth of this, is that this would become a league that, eventually, relevance, whatever. So 72-73 is a big year, right, for hockey. Because these are teams now of players who maybe weren't getting a chance in the NHL. Maybe they get a chance to make some big money. And somebody who came over here for big money immediately said, oh, I'm not playing here, and went back home. Not very many ties in this league. So the New England Whalers were number one in the Eastern Division. 46-30-2 record, 94 points. 78-game season they had that year. Cleveland Crusaders, 43-32-3, 89 points. Philadelphia Blazers, 38-40, 76 points. The Ottawa Nationals, 35-39-4, 74 points. The top four teams in the East and West make the playoffs. Quebec Nordiques, 33-40-5, 71 points, missed the playoffs. And the New York Raiders, who are financially struggling, 33-43-2, 68 points. There are other teams that are financially struggling as well. The Winnipeg Jets would lead and win their division, 43-31-4, 90 points to lead the West. Houston Astros are next at 39. Houston Aeros, it's easy to say Astros, right? Aeros, 39-35-4, 82 points. I'm going to apologize for during this series how many times I'm going to say Houston Astros. I'm just going to throw that out there now. It's the Houston Aeros. All right. LA Sharks, 37-35-6, 80 points. How weird is that? The Los Angeles team and name the Sharks. Now you've got the San Jose Sharks, and anyways. And of course, the LA Kings are a thing at this point, and yet the LA Sharks were drawing pretty well. At the gate, some of these cities were doing really well. Minnesota Fighting Saints, 38-37-3, 79 points. The same record as the Alberta Oilers, 38-37-3. There was a one-game tiebreaker in Calgary, and Minnesota won it. Notice Calgary's not on the board. It's the Alberta Oilers, but they're out of Edmonton. Yeah, I don't know. Chicago Cougars would be the worst team in the league, 26-50-2 to 54 points. And they go out and spend some money in the offseason to try to improve. When we get into the 73-74 season, we'll see whether or not their plans worked. So after winning that one-game tiebreaker, Minnesota moves into the playoffs. But in the playoffs, none of these go the distance. So we'll discuss the winner at the end of this, but Cleveland beats Philadelphia in 4 straight. New England beats Ottawa 4 out of 5 to win that series. And then New England would beat Cleveland 4 out of 5 to win that series. So New England has a very easy run. The Whalers, who become Hartford, a very easy run to the Avco Cup final. And the Avco Cup might have got some chuckling about it in both its appearance, comparatively speaking, with the Stanley Cup, and the fact that it's a corporate named cup. So Winnipeg wins their series with the Minnesota Fighting Saints, these guys right here. And isn't this jersey fantastic? 4 games out of 5 for Winnipeg, despite the fantastic Minnesota Fighting Saints jersey. Houston Aeros, 4 games to 2 over the LA Sharks, and then Winnipeg destroys Houston in 4 straight. Now, there were no exhibition games between the NHL and the WHA that year. And there's not really a good relationship there either. So we'll look at their scoring leaders. Andre Lacroix, Philadelphia Blazers player, 78 games, 50 goals, 74 assists, 124 points. Lacroix, to me, is one of those guys that, again, we don't really think of as being an elite hockey player of the 70s, but plays 551 games in the WHA, 251 goals, 547 assists, 798 points. And yet, nowhere to be found when you talk about legends from that era because he's in the WHA. Ron Ward, 77 games for the New York Raiders, and with NYR, it's New York Rangers. It's just not right? Well, somebody will fix that and make it worse. 77 games, 51 goals, 67 assists, 118 points. The previous year, for the Vancouver Canucks, he played 71 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. This is not a ringing endorsement for how strong the WHA is, how great the players in the WHA are, and it will lend itself to the argument the NHL is going to make that this league is vastly inferior, and there's no reason for them to see it really as a rival league other than they're trying to steal their players. Danny Lawson, 78 games played. 78 games played for Philly, 61 goals, 45 assists, 56 points. The previous year, he was with the Sabres, and in 78 games, he had 10 goals, 6 assists, 16 points. So again, not an argument for the elite level of talent in the WHA. Tom Webster, LA Kings, you fans, if you're old enough, you remember Tom Webster. Played for the New England Whalers, 77 games, 53 goals, 50 assists, 103 points, as I wrote on the board, NHL coach. Then you get to your Hall of Famer, Bobby Hull, who didn't come over and play for the WHA until November 8th, so it was about a month into the season. Played 63 games, 51 goals, 52 assists, 103 points. Now, if you are a league defender, if you're somebody who's going to say, you know what, this league's pretty good, you can look at Hull's totals and say, well, they're not that out of line with everybody else in the league. So yeah, he does put up 103 points. He likely, if he played those extra 50 games, would have pushed his way into maybe second on the scoring list, but he wouldn't have been first. It's not a great argument, but it's an argument that, you know, Bobby Hull is a great player, and he's not number one in the league in scoring. Norm Beaudin, Winnipeg, 78 games, 38 goals, 65 assists, 103 points. Chris Bordeleau for Winnipeg, 78 games, 47 goals, 54 assists, 101 points. And then Terry Caffery, playing for New England, 74 games, 39 goals, 61 assists, 100 points. So you've got 8 players with 100 points or more that first year for the WHA. Now, the WHA tried to set up a series against Czechoslovakian players. They're going to have their all-stars against Czechoslovakia. And it's important. They're trying to prove, hey, we've got some good players here. And they lost out in 72 because the Canada Cup, it's Team Canada, but is it? Because the Canada Cup, if you're Jerry Cheevers, if you're Bobby Hull, if you're a player that maybe should have played for Team Canada in 72, but you're signed in the WHA, you're not invited. So the 72 Canada Cup, as great as that was, WHA players were blocked out of it. No, not playing, not happening, because of the vitriol that the NHL has towards WHA. And again, it may just be a matter of we don't want to give that league legitimacy. We don't want guys who are currently signed in the WHA in our tournament that, you know, we've got these great people running. We find out later that Alan Eagleson, who helped to set that up, well, Eagleson has a checkered past, but the reality is that the league was not going to get any kind of help from the NHL. So bringing over Czech players, it's a chance for them to say, look how we do against the best players out of Czechoslovakia. But they were unable to get sanctioned. So it didn't happen. The WHA tried bright red and blue pucks. Hockey players looked at that and went, no. How about no? A blue puck doesn't make any sense. Can you imagine the seizures we'd have trying to figure out whether or not a puck was offside, a player was offside, if the puck's the same color as the line? No thanks. So yeah, that didn't work. January 17th of 1973, Derek Sanderson had played 8 games, 8 for Philly, and basically has a reaction of, thanks, I'm good. And he gets a buyout of about $1 million from Philly, and he heads back to the NHL to make less money and not deal with the WHA. The WHA just financially is bleeding money, and it's seen that the league is kind of, well, it's trying, but it's its first year, and I guess Sanderson didn't want to be a part of the solution. Lawson was the first 50-goal scorer in WHA history. April 1973 is the first time the league talks about a merger with the NHL. What you doing, WHA? We're going to create a new league and we're going to be rivals to the NHL. We're going to take that reserve clause they have where they own players until they're dead, and we're going to do away with it. And then the first year, they're probably looking at the books and going, so NHL, you guys want this? Because there's a lot of red in here. It's not just the pucks either. And the NHL, my guess is, said, go pound salt. Forget it. Forget you. Not happening. Clarence Campbell was very vocal about not liking WHA. There were numerous NHL owners not big fans of what the WHA had done. So the idea of having... And just think, they're talking about a merger while the playoffs are going on. All right, well, we got our playoffs started. Hey, NHL, do you guys want to come take this off our hands? Because, yeah. And then May of 1973, the Whalers beat the Jets 4-1 in that final that we set up here for the Avco Cup. 4-1. And if you add up all the goals in that series, New England outscores Winnipeg 30-18 over 5 games. So it's not really close. And so New England, the best team, and yet they don't get to challenge the Stanley Cup champions. Because, no. Which would have been fun. I don't know how far that would have gone. I don't know that New England would have won a game against the 73 Cup champs. But it would have been fun, right? You want to see, like, okay, it's a new pro league. Let's see how they do against the National Hockey League. Nope, not that year. So after that's done, the league celebrates by moving some teams. The Raiders, New York Raiders, are sold. They become the Golden Blades. So you're looking at that going, New York Raiders, that sounds stupid. How about Golden Blades? Raiders is fine. Philadelphia is bought by Jim Pattison, and he moves the team to Vancouver. They become the Vancouver Blazers, but only briefly. Don't get attached. Vancouver. June 1973, Gordie Howe decides he's going to play with his sons in Houston. That's a huge boost for the league. And you have to think, coming out of the failed merger talks with the NHL and losing Derek Sanderson and what had to be a huge PR nightmare, and just the appearance of this league not being up to par, now they're going to have Gordie Howe playing with his sons Mark and Marty. Didn't have a son named Matt. Mark and Marty Howe. And the three of them are going to play together. And sure, it's a huge PR boost for the WHA. And for Houston, it's a great move too. So the Arrows do that. Oh, and by the way, Ottawa moves to Toronto and becomes the Toros. So this is where the WHA has a problem. The WHA has now been in existence for 1 year. One team has changed its name. 2 teams are now moving cities after that first year. And you've got teams that are losing money already. And you've got NHL owners wanting to bury it, wanting to destroy it, wanting to do whatever they had to do. And the big reason that the merger talks immediately fell apart is because the NHL's basically saying to them, okay, you want to do a merger, you guys have to have a reserve clause. We're not getting rid of it. And the WHA said, we're not getting rid of the reserve clause. So again, it's about fun, right? We want the players to feel free. We want them to be able to make whatever money they want. Oh, us make money? Oh, we're the WHA. We don't do that. But boy, howdy, was it fun, right? Okay, so there you go. The 72-73 season of the WHA. I don't have magnets on the board because I only have like very sparse teams that I could put magnets up for. And it'd look weird. So I'm looking forward to doing the other seasons for this and looking at other teams being moved and situations that that don't work out so well for the WHA. But again, it's all about fun. Who needs to make money when you're having fun? All right, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.